And we mark 30 minutes past 0 hour Universal Time. In the news at this hour, Lebanese security officials say Israeli military airplanes have been flying over the eastern Bekaa Valley in Lebanon. It is not clear if the airplanes attacked targets. For 5 days, Israel and Hezbollah have mostly honored a ceasefire. Lebanese soldiers reached the country's border with Israel. 15,000 Lebanese soldiers are to guard Lebanon south of the Litani River. They are to work with up to 15,000 international troops. On Thursday, France said it would send only 200 troops to Lebanon. President Bush says he hopes France will send more. The United States, Britain, and Germany will not send troops. Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert is delaying plans for an Israeli withdrawal from much of the occupied West Bank. Top aides say the plan is no longer a top goal for Mr. Olmert because of more immediate concerns after the war with Hezbollah in Lebanon. The aides say Mr. Olmert wants to deal with recovery efforts in northern Israel, where many Hezbollah rockets struck. The aides also said that the withdrawal plans have not been forgotten. In other news, 2 Palestinian gunmen were killed in Israeli raids in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip early on Friday. Later, Israel said it shot and killed a Palestinian militant in Gaza. The Iraqi government says it has banned vehicle traffic in Baghdad until 6 o'clock Monday morning local time. The driving ban is a security measure put in place as thousands of Shiites arrive to mark the death of a historical religious leader. During last year's event, false stories of a bomber caused a crowd on a bridge over the Tigris River to flee wildly. Almost 1,000 people were crushed to death. In other news, United States forces have seized ammunition, rockets, and weapons from a Baghdad storage center. A human rights group says a special Iraqi court set up to try former Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein is unable to give him a fair trial. Human Rights Watch said his trial shows that the court's lawyers and judges do not understand international law. The former Iraqi leader was charged with involvement in the killing of almost 150 people in one village. No judgment has yet been reached in the case. On Monday, Saddam Hussein will go on trial in connection with the deaths of an estimated 100,000 Iraqi Kurds. Those killings reportedly took place in 1987 and 1988. You are listening to the news in VOA Special English. British police say officers from all over Britain have joined the investigation into a reported plot to bomb airplanes traveling to the United States. Police are questioning 23 suspects captured last week. Most are British citizens of Pakistani ancestry. Pakistan is holding 7 other suspects. British officials report that service is back to normal at most major airports, but officials say measures ordered under the security warning will remain in place. Temporary Cuban President Raúl Castro says he is open to normal relations with the United States. But Mr. Castro warned the Bush administration against taking violent action against Cuba. Mr. Castro said he ordered the army to be prepared hours after taking over for his brother, Fidel Castro. He said, however, that Cuba is willing to go out in search of peace. The United States said on Friday it had no plans to invade Cuba. President Bush has refused to say if he has information about any planned North Korean nuclear tests. On Friday, Mr. Bush dismissed questions about a possible test. He also warned that any such test would be a threat to the area. Earlier, the ABC News organization reported comments by unidentified United States officials. The officials said North Korea may be planning an underground nuclear test. Rescue teams in boats and helicopters are searching for thousands of Ethiopians trapped by flooding. Almost 900 people are missing or dead after sudden floods in southern, eastern, and northern Ethiopia. Aid workers say bad weather and failure to reach undeveloped areas have interfered with aid efforts and increased the chances for more deaths. Search teams in helicopters are attempting to raise people from the tops of houses and trees. Survivors say they have lost family members, homes, and farm animals to the floodwaters. And Russian officials have presented a man they identified as the older brother of Chechen separatist leader Doku Umarov. Ahmad Umarov spoke to reporters in Gudyarmysk, Chechnya's second-largest city. He said that he surrendered earlier Friday because he wanted to live and work legally. Doku Umarov took leadership of the Chechen separatist movement in June, after Russian forces killed separatist leader Abdul Khalim Saidulayev. And so briefly now, again, the major news of this hour. Lebanese security officials say Israeli military airplanes have been flying over the eastern Bekaa Valley in Lebanon. Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert is delaying plans for an Israeli withdrawal from much of the occupied West Bank. And vehicle traffic in Baghdad is banned until Monday morning. So ends the news in VOA Special English.